My name is Siddharth Chatterjee and I am the United Nations Resident Coordinator to Kenya. Turkana is the very epitome of how the entire UN family, together with the government of Kenya, together with the county authorities, have come together to deliver a program which is about human development, which is about pulling people out of poverty, which is about improving nutritional security, which is about improving public health, education, access to services. What's exciting is there is the leadership and the commitment of the county which we saw today, and the difference is begun to make. And it's, agencies such as UNDP, UNICEF, FAO, WHO, WFP, working really hand in hand together with civil society partners in the NGO community, the private sector, as we saw at the skills building center. I think what Turkana really represents is the way we need to go to the rest of the counties in Kenya. The county integrated development plan, which was developed together with the national government and with the United Nations system, is emblematic of how partnerships need to work. Turkana also is home to, over 300,000 refugees in the Kakuma refugee camp, a county of enormous generosity. But what we've also seen over there is the improved health outcomes, improved nutritional outcomes, improved education outcomes. In fact, right now, while we are in the midst of a drought, Turkana seems to be doing pretty well. And with this drip irrigation agriculture project that we saw, which is very much community owned, associated with women, empowering women to be part of the workforce, I think that's the way to go. And I have to compliment Turkana, traditionally a county which has never had female genital mutilation as a practice, and therefore it empowers women. What they need to make sure is women, and like young people, need to join the workforce. And the youth bulge is again another huge opportunity. The more that we get young people involved in the agriculture sector, in the infrastructure sector, I think Turkana can be a role model for many of the counties in the north.
Yes, great. So talking a little bit about the economic development and now focusing especially on the youth, we've seen that there is a great number of youth who are looking for employment. How has the partnership with the UN enabled this environment?
You see, Kenya, like the rest of Africa, is experiencing a youth bulge. Over 70% of the population of this country is under 30. And, given the fact that Kenya's population, which is 45 million now, will be 65 million by 2030 and will be 85 million by 2050. So, we may, there's this old saying that goes that, we may not be able to build a future for the youth, but let's build the youth for the future. And that's exactly what we need to be doing. We need to give them the right skill set. So I think the 4 E's are going to be very crucial. And those E's are education and skills, the right skills for an emerging market. We need to be educating everybody, regardless of their gender. Second is empowerment. Sub-Saharan Africa loses close to $95 billion annually just because of gender inequality. Helen Clark and President Uhuru Kenyatta launched the Africa Human Development Report in 2016, last year. And it's clear that, once we invest in the girl child, once we allow the girl child to achieve her full human potential, you are actually putting educated women into the workforce, into the labor force, who will then therefore improve the microeconomic picture at the household level. Third is employment. I think we need a Marshall Plan. We need to really find jobs, because that's what will improve the tax base. That is what will be the return of investment. And those are investments that need to happen now, today. In fact, they should have started yesterday, because over the next 5 years, it's crucial. Because the window of the demographic dividend, so to speak, which is young people employed, household incomes improving, less dependence, is not preordained. We have to work towards it. So employment generation is going to be very crucial. And the 4th E is equity. And I think equity is going to be crucial again. Nobody should be left behind. That's the principle of the Sustainable Development Goals. So I think the timing of and the kind of leadership that we've seen both at the national government level and at the county level, the UN is utterly and completely and fully committed in this partnership with the county of Turkana, but with every county in Kenya. And what we want to make sure is that we go collectively in developing the county integrated development plans, make sure that we actually achieve what we've set out in Vision 2030 and in the SDGs of eradicating poverty and hunger. I think Turkana can really show the way to do that. I think devolution is the best decision that ever took place. I think the Constitution of Kenya post 2010 is one of the most progressive constitutions. And I think this is what will get Kenya into a high income growth country, because again, it is the devolved structures that will make things begin to work. Once you start to devolve governance, people get held accountable. Now you will have like the other counties, the county governor of Turkana is also accountable to his people, and they will decide in the next elections whether they want to keep him or not. That is why each and every governor will have to demonstrate progress, demonstrate that they are moving their people, lifting them out of poverty, giving them hope, giving them opportunity. What I saw today, I must say, was very, very impressive.
Excuse me, but also to add on to your point, we are seeing that there is a great interest in supporting and elevating the women within the county of Turkana. What would be your advice to the rest of the country in support of the women in their growth?
I think Kenya is on the right track. That's precisely why President Kenyatta, together with Helen Clark, the UNDP administrator, launched the Africa Human Development Report, which was about gender equality and women's empowerment. I think it needs affirmative action. It needs really a push in the parliament. I think the 2/3 gender bill must be passed. Because why? Because the more women get into public spaces, hold public office, will we find that movement beginning to happen. So as I said, we need affirmative action, and that can again happen at the county level. The county governors need to demonstrate that. The men in the county really need to become advocates of he for she and really become champions of equality, because ultimately, when a man and woman in a household start to earn an income, that household only progresses. That household is able to better educate its children, improve its health outcomes, better nourish their children, and therefore you start creating a generation of people that are not insecure, not food insecure, not impoverished, not undernourished. Because remember, those are the very things that help to develop human capital, and that is what the focus needs to be. Just like the Asian tigers, just like Western Europe. So all these countries, if you see, what happened was they became rich before they became old. They're old. The median age of Kenya is 18. The median age of Sweden, for example, is 47. The median age of Singapore is close to 50. So I think Kenya must take advantage of this youth bulge and must take advantage of an incredibly talented workforce and incredibly talented group of women that can actually advance this country.
Excellent. Touching a little bit about governance and the critical issue of the national government working with the county government, what is your opinion on how these two can work, and how do you also relate that with the UN agencies?
Of course, I think it's a partnership. It was John Donne who said, "No man is an island, every man is a piece of the continent." I think that's exactly what it is. And I think the fact that the national government has, there is a devolved function, that there's a relationship between the two. There's a Council of Governors which is represented in Nairobi. And this is where the UN has actually been playing not just a role of working with both of them, but also developing capacities at the county level in order for the counties to be able to deliver those very services. I think we need to look at other partners in this, such as the civil society, such as the private sector. We need to bring, like Turkana has shown, that by Talo Oil and other companies coming in, the Lutfin Foundation, that they can actually also engage in the socio-economic development of the county. Why is it important? Because ultimately these are the very people that will also procure their goods and services in the future. So everybody has an interest. I think what we need is leadership at the county level, and that's what we are seeing in many counties today.
Excellent. When we talk a little bit about the Turkana master plan, it seems that it has an expiry period, as it were, of 2017. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, what would be the vision of UNDP or the UN body, for example, to make sure that this doesn't end just because a really rosy master plan was put together and its term expired, so that it goes on forward?
Look, there is a master plan for this country, which is Vision 2030. There is a master plan for the globe, which is the Sustainable Development Goals. So, it's not kind of going, we are not creating, it's not rocket science. And I think every plan for a county must have a finite period to take stock of what was achieved, what was not, what are the corrections that need to be made, what are the opportunities that we need to seize upon, which have come our way. So I think from UNDP will, of course, and the UN system will work very closely with the county authorities now in order to develop the county integrated development plan for each phase. And I think that a planned approach is always better. An incremental approach is always better. If we can get the messaging on youth empowerment and women's empowerment right, I think Kenya has every potential of becoming not just a beacon of hope and opportunity in Africa, but one that will be emulated by the rest. So I'm really hopeful of what the future holds for Kenya. If we make those investments in those 4 E's that I mentioned to you, Kenya can grow its economy by 12 times. Its GDP can grow by 12 times. That's what I'm saying. That's why we are so hopeful. Why do you think the whole international community is so interested in Kenya, that we want a strong, democratic, stable Kenya? Because in that area of fragility that we have from the South Sudan to the Somalia, Kenya can actually be a driver of positive change. It can be the wings of humanitarian diplomacy and ensuring that people can actually look at Kenya as a model, and therefore there will be better integration in the sub-region, because ultimately economics is about interdependence and free flow of goods, services and people. That is what will move it.
Yes, so you've raised a really good point, and I'd like to expand a little bit about it in terms of the refugee crisis that is also part of the effects of the integration. I'd like to know from you, what would be your recommendation, especially for Kenya and Turkana as an example with Kakuma? How would you recommend that the government also embraces diversity within the county?
I think the government has been, the Kenyan government has been a model of embracing diversity. I think it's probably one of the most generous countries in the world. In Africa, just after Ethiopia, Kenya hosts the second largest population of refugees. And we recently did an exercise with the World Bank and UNHCR where it's very clear that actually refugees can be a major resource in terms of economic growth. So I think it also gives Kenya an opportunity to help to develop parts of Somalia and parts of South Sudan where these skilled people can also go back to. But as I said, ultimately for the wheels of the economy and the juggernaut of the economic truck to start moving, you need all hands on deck, and that's not excluding anyone and making sure that no one is left behind.